Welcome to the world of newspapers. It's an exciting place where people are always learning from the information found on the pages of the daily newspaper. This program will show you how the Bucks County Courier-Times is written, produced, and distributed. Most readers like to keep up with the community, national and worldwide news, not to mention reading feature stories like science and health, education, home and garden, and cooking tips, or keeping up with sporting events that take place in our area and other parts of the world, or entertainment stories. And of course, most readers like to save money. Every week, the newspaper prints coupons for clipping and ads from stores promoting special sales. Now that we know why we read newspapers, we're ready to see how the newspaper is made. First, we'll begin at the Courier-Times printing plant. Our production facility, the building where the paper is actually printed, is in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. We have another building about 4 miles away in Tullytown. That's where our reporters work from the newsroom, and other employees work in the business offices for accounting, circulation, marketing, and advertising sales. We have another office in Richboro where reporters, ad sales, and circulation workers are located. It's in the northern part of our market. The Courier-Times prides itself in covering local news. We have 2 different local editions each day. This allows us to focus on news pertaining to one area of our market in each edition. On some days, each edition could have a different front page. This helps the reader find the important community stories first. A newspaper's space is split 2 ways. Approximately 50% of the space is for news coverage, and 50% of the space is sold as advertising. We'll look at the news side first. Let's start at the beginning. The mission of the Courier-Times is to provide news, information, and services to enable our community to prosper. While we are constantly in touch with our readers and area business and civic leaders, we also receive lots of news tips by telephone, email, faxes, and press releases. This information is forwarded to the newsroom, where an editor decides which news tips become stories. Then an editor assigns a reporter to cover a story. The reporter contacts the newsmaker by phone to find out the basic details, then makes a visit to the site of the story in order to interview additional people and get a better idea of what's going on. Feature stories appear in the second section of the Courier-Times. Feature reporters will cover lots of things, from local entertainment events to the latest cooking and fitness trends. The next section of our daily paper covers sports, both local and national. Sports is a popular section of the Courier-Times, and our sports writers are there to cover the great variety of sports that appeal to our readers. Photographers also have an important role in presenting the news. They work closely with reporters to bring us a story in pictures. A photo is a great way to add impact to a story. Reporters and photographers return quickly to the newsroom to share the story and photos with the editor. They input their stories on computers, or sometimes if the deadline is near, they work from the field and file their stories electronically using a laptop computer. A news story should always have the 5 W's and the H in the beginning of the story. You remember those, don't you? The 5 W's are who, what, where, when, and why. The H stands for how. Once these basic facts are covered, other details of the story are added. The editor then reviews the story to create a headline and decide where the story will appear in the Courier-Times and which stories will be posted immediately to our website, phillyburbs.com, as breaking news. Other news stories and photos from outside our community are continually coming over the wire services. This information is downloaded from a satellite dish located on our roof. It is then transmitted to a computer in the newsroom. The editor can quickly review the selection of photos and stories before selecting which ones will appear in the next day's newspaper or will be posted to phillyburbs.com as video stories. The Courier-Times subscribes to the Associated Press wire service, which has reporters and photographers working all over the world, transmitting both stories and photos every day. While we cover your community, the Associated Press covers the world. You can see the initials AP by each story or photo from the wire service. The executive editor is responsible for the entire news staff. The editor also oversees the daily planning meeting where associate editors decide what the big news stories are for the following day's paper, and they work as a team to decide story placement and how the paper should look the next morning, and which stories, photos, and videos should be moved to the internet immediately. Many people also write to the editor to express their feelings or reaction to a particular news story. Some of these letters appear on the editorial page along with the editor's opinions on current issues. While the news gathering is taking place, the advertising department is selling and preparing ads that will appear next to news stories or advertising supplements that are printed in advance to be stuffed in the paper at a later date. Advertising sales representatives visit clients on a regular basis to consult with them on how to best spend their advertising money. By placing their ads in the newspaper, a business can let shoppers know what products, services, and special sales are available. The newspaper can take ads already designed by the store or provide an additional service of building or creating the ad in our own design and creative services department. A designer can take copy or words that the advertiser wants and with a computer design an eye-catching ad. The client always has final approval before the ad is published. Most classified ads are sold over the phone or through the internet. These ads help individuals buy and sell items and services and help people find jobs. This special type of advertising is located in its own section of the Courier-Times. When the stories are ready to be printed, they are sent to the pagination team and design desk. Now is the time to take all the news stories, photos, and advertisements and paginate them on a computer so they appear together on one page. The ads are moved to a computer file and matched up to the correct place on each page. News stories are placed around the ads. Then an editor will print a paper proof so one last review of the page can be done. Completed pages are sent via computer to a special machine at the press and production facility that places the page image on a printing plate using laser technology. Holes are punched and the ends are bent, making the plate press ready. Our pressmen then mount the plates to a printing press. Extremely thick printer's ink is added to the press. By combining just 4 colors, printers can produce almost any color imaginable. Often referred to as CMYK, the original colors are cyan, blue, magenta, red, yellow, and black. Paper is moved by lift trucks from the storage rooms and into the real room of our multi-story press room. Each roll of newsprint weighs about 2,200 pounds. A small car will weigh about the same. Since the newsprint paper is so heavy, each press has a machine on it that does all the lifting. The newsprint is then webbed through the presses. Our paper comes to the plant on a train. The trains stop 2 times each week to unload newsprint from paper plants in Canada. Our presses begin running between midnight and 1 a.m., and the press is capable of running 70,000 papers per hour. That's more than 1,000 copies of the Courier-Times coming out of the press every minute. From the press, newspapers move down the gripper conveyor belt and into the packaging center, where they are run through inserting machines. This is where any pre-printed sections of the newspaper, like comics or coupon packages, can be added. A machine automatically counts out each bundle for the carriers. They come out of the stacker already banded together by a plastic strap. At last, the finished product rolls off the presses, printed, cut, folded, and stacked, all by machine. Remember, that's a totally new paper every day. Now we're ready for the truck drivers to load the stacks of newspapers onto their trucks and deliver all the bundles to all the Courier-Times readers while we are sound asleep. A dispatcher works early into the morning just in case a bundle of papers is missed at a carrier's house. Now it is time for the over 700 Courier-Times newspaper carriers to serve all their customers along their route by 6:30 in the morning. A newspaper company considers its carriers very important people. Carriers are special, and they don't just deliver the newspaper. They also win prizes for getting a new subscriber and receive generous tips from customers for their good service. Many people compare having a newspaper route to running a small business. Managing your own newspaper route is an incredible experience. In fact, for many successful people, it was their first job. People like Walt Disney, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, John Glenn and Wayne Gretzky all started as newspaper carriers. Newspaper carriers work all year long so that we have a paper to read, to enjoy in our own homes and at school. Through our Newspaper in Education program, thousands of students all over Bucks County receive newspapers at school. These students learn the value of reading a newspaper every day so they can learn the latest local, national, and world news, plus keep up on lots of other topics that interest them. Best of all, NIE makes learning fun. So now you know more about the people and processes needed to make the daily newspaper. So be sure to read the Bucks County Courier-Times every day. It's your community and your world. And the front page is just the beginning.